Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to try and create a Illustrator file for your speaker, and then we're going to move that into Fusion using something called a DXF file, which means we can then extrude it and make it look very cool. So this is your Fusion setup. This is an Iron Man head, obviously, and these sizes all correlate to the size of the speaker. So that's a 65mm hole. And this is 100 by 100 down here, pine base. So your actual your circuit board will sit behind here, and with the battery your cables will come through, and then you'll have the speaker, and then that Iron Man head will be effectively a picture that's stuck on the back side of the acrylic. But what we need to do is we need to create that shape so that we can send that to the laser cutter. So this tutorial basically is just the Illustrator one to start off with. So effectively what we can do is, if we delete that, so we'll go File, New. Now this is the latest version of Illustrator. What you guys, I think you've got CS5. It's pretty much the same thing. If it's not, I'm sure it'll be fine. But I've checked it and it looks okay. So we'll hit A4, we'll make sure that's a portrait, and hit Create. Now I've already gone online and I've found a Iron Man head that I quite like the look of. So try and find whatever you're trying to do, because we need to be able to import that. So first things first, File, Place, and I'm going to place that Iron Man picture on here. Make it quite large, that's fine, because now what we're going to do is we're now going to put the speaker in there. So I'm just gone to the ellipse tool. If it's not the ellipse, it might be the rectangle, but all you do is just hold down, you'll click on that, go to the ellipse tool and just draw a circle. Now what happens is, we don't know what the size of that circle is, but we do because we can tell it to be exactly what we want over here in the properties. So you'll have a transform palette that looks like this. If it's not there, just hit Window and go all the way down to transform and you'll see it. So the circle, what we want is here, the ellipse properties. So we're going to change that to 63 and 63. Now what it might do is it might not allow you to do that, because you'll have this constrain link clicked on. If it looks like that, just unclick it so there's a line that goes through it, then you can change it. So that effectively, gents, is the size of your speaker. So whatever you're doing, you could have a skull, you could have whatever it is, you need to have somewhere on your design a circle that your speaker housing, your speaker case is going to fit. So effectively that's pretty good. I think that's fine. We're going to put that in the middle of the head, aren't we? Right, so the next thing we want to do is use the pen tool to draw around it, effectively giving us that kind of cutout. So if we went to the pen tool, we are then going to start to draw around the outside. Now this is quite angular, but what I'll show you when we get to the top is, clearly we've got a curved edge. So what we're going to do is we're just going to draw. Now can you see it's filling it in? Now that's totally fine, and I'll tell you how we can get rid of that in a second. So now we've got some sharp edges, but we now need to get some curved edges. So we come over here to the curvature tool, and we can just simply just crack on with that really, and this will then fill it all in for us. Done. Okay, now up here we've got a fill in the path window. We've got a fill. If we undo that and take that to there to be no fill, we can see, if we open up our stroke a little higher, we've actually got a really nice outline around the outside. All right, so that's what we need to make sure though is that it's 0.75 because the laser cutter needs to distinguish that from it needs to be able to cut that effectively, and it can't be anything bigger than 1. Now, okay, so we have now drawn our shape around the outside, so that's there, which is good. Now what we're going to do is we are going to be super clever. We are going to save this, so we're going to go File, Save As, let's call that Iron Man, and we're going to save that as a PDF. So if I went to desktop, I can save it on my desktop. So we'll save a PDF. Now what that basically does is, once I hit save, and the beach ball's gone, save the PDF, job done. Now what that does is, when we print this out, effectively, what we've got to do is stick on behind the piece of acrylic that we're going to laser cut the actual image. Now we want that image to look like what we want it to look like. If, for example, we didn't do that now at that stage, we'd have a piece that wouldn't look like this at all, and we'd have to resize it and it would just look rubbish. Okay, so what we've got though is we've got an image now. We don't need that anymore because we've saved it as a PDF. So let's just delete that. Now that leaves us with these two. So currently they need to be 0.75 each, and that's exactly what we're going to save. Okay, so we are going to go File, Export As, and we're going to call that one, let's call that Iron Man line, and we're going to call that as a DXF file. Okay, now what we can do with the DXF file is we can import that into our Fusion 360. All right, so that is the Illustrator part finished and done. So we've saved the PDF and we've produced this line drawing, which is good to go. Then actually we'll do one more thing: File, Save As, an SVG file, and we'll call that one Iron Man Laser. Okay, and hit save. Now what that's done is that has saved it as a SVG file, which you'll then postbox to me, and I can laser cut that. All right, that's it, finished. Okay, the next tutorial will go into Fusion.